Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धु एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। समस्त अश्विन की जय। Namajardas Thakur ji ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna dear devotees, I welcome you all to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Thank you all so much for joining me this mid-morning session. A very happy Nirjala Ekadashi to everyone. This is Shivani from National Engineer. Let us move to the next part of the session. Today's class will be given by His Grace Jayananda Gauranga Prabhuji on the topic of the absolute truth. May I know who have joined this morning?
Hare Krishna Shivani Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada, this is Preeti Vilasni Devidasi from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you for your warm welcoming, Mataji, and thanks for the very beautiful recitation, Vardhana Mataji, of the Bhagavad Gita.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Preeti Vilasni Mataji, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you so much for joining and giving a beautiful association this morning. All glories to your services, Mataji. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Shivani Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas. Thank you, Vardhana Mataji, for beautiful recitation.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you so much for joining and giving a beautiful association. All glories to your services, Mataji. You're always there to help. So grateful to you. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Shivani Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Vrinda from Atlanta, Paniyati Dham.
Hare Krishna Vrinda Gopika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you so much for joining every single day and giving a beautiful association. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna dear devotees, once again I welcome you all for this mid-morning session. Thank you all for joining. I would like to start by sharing a quote by Srila Prabhupada ji. The great liberated souls and incarnations who appear from time to time in the material world are not actually coming back, because they are never subject to material contamination or the laws of material nature. For the purpose of delivering the fallen living entities, they come here temporarily and go back when their business is finished, and this is all under the direct order of the Lord. So the appearance of the Lord or the great liberated souls in the material world is different from the appearance of the contaminated living entity who is forced to take birth in the material world due to his desire to lord it over the world. Letter to Vrindavaneshwari, June 6, 1969. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna dear devotees, today we're very fortunate to have His Grace Jayananda Gauranga Prabhuji. Prabhuji will be enlightening us on the topic of the absolute truth. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Jayananda Gauranga Prabhuji, thank you so much for giving your valuable time and wonderful association this morning. Very happy to have you on the call. Very eagerly to hear from you. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. I hand over the call to you, Prabhuji. Please take over. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay. You're able to see the screen and hear me, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. Um, so thank you again for this opportunity, and thank you, Vinita Gandarki Mataji, for inviting me here for this second part of this talk called as the Absolute Truth. And this is a follow-up of the previous Friday's program that we had on Krishna as the primeval Godhead. And this is a follow-up on that. And this session today is actually a mini thesis of one verse in the Bhagavatam. And नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्याश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे. Thank you again. I offer my humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas assembled here. So today, what we are going to be doing is a mini thesis on this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 11. Okay. So the whole lecture is actually on just this verse, which would be a good follow-up for the previous. Last Friday, we did the mini thesis on the verse Bhagavatam 1.3.28, the verse of Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Yate chamsha kalapum saha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And this time, today, we'll take this verse here. Badanti tat tatvidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdayate. So we're going to, the whole lecture, we're going to do a small thesis on this verse. It's a very important verse. And therefore, I took this verse. And badanti, which means they say, okay, tat, about what do they, who are the people who are actually talking about this? The learned souls. They are called Tattva Vidas. Okay, the learned soul, Tattva Vida. So they are commenting about the absolute truth, about Tattvam. Okay, Tattva is absolute truth. And what are they saying about it? Which means which, knowledge, jnanam, okay, and the first thing that they're saying that this is non-dual, okay, advayam. What is non-dual? The absolute truth being known as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, iti shabdayate. Vadantita tatvidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdayate. So we're going to analyze all these words. So as of now, it may look a little the Vaishnavas here are all very knowledgeable. So I don't have to. You might have heard this verse and spoken about it, or probably even given lectures about it so many times. So let's do see the translation. The translation says, "The learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan." Okay, so we'll start the analysis. The first several slides is actually an analysis from Jiva Goswami. And because he extensively has used this verse in his Shat Sandarbha, so we're going to take Jiva Goswami's analysis first. So the first thing I'm going to do here is an analysis of the word Bhagavan. That's where I'm going to start. And for this, I'm going to start with Bhagavata Sandarbha, Anucheda 20 to Anucheda 2. Okay, so where Jiva Goswami first defines the word Bhagavan. Okay, so the Bhagavan this is the split for the word here, Bha, which comes from the word Bharta. Bharta means the natural meaning we would say is the husband, the maintainer and nourisher of the devotees. This is the translation used by Jiva Goswami. Bharta. So Bha stands for the maintainer and nourisher of the devotees. Ga comes from the word Gamayayita, which means the original creator of the devotees. okay, of devotees' good qualities. So it basically means creator. Okay, so Ga, it can also be, Jiva Goswami says that it can also be written as the leader of the devotees' good qualities. So he's a creator. Okay, and what exactly he's creating? He is referring to as the creator of all the good qualities. And the word Va in Bhagavan comes from Vas, that means to reside. Okay, to reside. So that means both living entities and matter reside in the Lord, and the Lord is in the heart of all the conditioned souls. So either way, so the living entities reside in the Lord, and the Lord is in the heart of all the conditioned souls. So the word Vas means to reside. So and so this is the meaning of the word Bhagavan given by Jiva Goswami in the Bhagavata Sandarbha Anucheda 2. So Ba means the maintainer, Ga means the creator, and Vas means to reside. Okay, maintainer, creator, and someone who resides. Both the living entities and the matter that reside in the Lord, and the Lord in the heart of the conditioned souls. So then the other is the analysis. This is from the Vishnu Purana. This is also cited. So this is in Canto 6, 5th chapter, verse 47th in the Vishnu Purana, which we are quite familiar with, which the word Bhagavan comes from Bhaga, which means opulence. The sixfold opulence here is that the full possessor of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. And Vath here means the one who possesses it. Actually, it becomes Van when it is grammatically adjusted in Sanskrit, but it is the word by itself is Vath. So in this way, so the one who possesses all these six qualities in full, that is wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, is called as Bhagavan. And combining all the verses that we spoke last Friday and this Friday, so we can say that Krishna is Bhagavan. So this is the conclusion Jiva Goswami makes here, that Krishna is Bhagavan as he possesses all the opulences in full, as well as the qualities of Bha, Ga, and Va. And what is Bha? Bha means we just saw that here. Ba is the nourisher, okay, the maintainer. Ga means the creator, and Va means to reside. Okay, so since and possessing these three qualities, maintainer, creator, and the one who resides. Okay, so together gives a comprehensive definition here of Bhagavan. And Prabhupada says in the purport that the same substance, that is the substance that we're talking about here, is the absolute truth, okay, is realized, okay, by the impersonalists would realize this as the Brahman, okay, as the Brahman, and which is nothing but the glowing effulgence around the Bhagavan. And the yogis realize it as Paramatma, who is the partial representation of the Bhagavan, and Bhagavan is the last word in the absolute truth. This is the thesis of Jiva Goswami, that out of this Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdete, out of that, the Bhagavan is the last word in the absolute truth. That means those who are perfect seers of the absolute truth know well that the above three features of the one absolute truth, there's only one. Okay, that is why it is called non-dual. Okay, so you don't split it. There is one absolute truth, okay, which are different perspectives seen by different angles of vision. So for an impersonalist, angle of vision is seen as Brahman. For a Paramatma is the angle of vision of a yogi, and Bhagavan is the angle of vision of the devotee. But in essence, the substance is the same, which is the same absolute truth is and it is there is no difference between Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, in the sense that it is, and hence there is non-dual, and it is three different angles of vision by the impersonalist, the super soul, and the super soul by the yogis, and Bhagavan as the devotees. So this is the next kind of understanding that we have. Now let's move on. So that means they are qualitatively the same, because they're all qualitatively they're all spirit. So now we are going to analyze the word Advayam, which is non-dual here. Okay, so I'm going to do a preliminary analysis here, and then I will expand it. The Bhakti Sandarbha Anucheda 6. Okay, so here the definition of Advayam in this particular verse is given. Advayam means that it is not divided into parts, that it doesn't mean that the absolute truth is divided into three parts, one being the Brahman, one being Paramatma, and one being Bhagavan. They are not divided into three parts. In fact, there are three aspects of the Supreme. The three aspects of the Supreme are non-different. Okay, the Lord's nature is the master of the potencies. Okay, the Lord's nature is the Master of the 14. So that means there is the same absolute truth, which is completely non-dual. Okay. And then the Bhagavad Sandarbha, Anucheda 3. Okay, so here it expands as what is absolute truth. So the supreme absolute truth is manifest in three features: Bhagavan, which is the complete manifestation of the Supreme; Paramatma, which is a partial manifestation of the Supreme; and Brahman is also a partial manifestation of the Supreme. So even though they are non-dual, they are not, it is when it is fully manifested, then it is called as Bhagavan. And when it is partially manifested, in one partial manifestation is Paramatma, another partial manifestation is that of Brahman. Okay. Now, Bhagavata Sandarbha Anucheda 94, it further talks about the Bhagavan feature. The original primal nature, out of these three features, the original primal nature of the three features is that of Bhagavan. The Moksha Dharma, it says, he cites, Jiva Goswami cites here from Moksha Dharma, saying that the great sages who seek the truth with thorough philosophical analysis have concluded that the supreme truth is Lord Narayana, known as Hari, the master of the Yogamaya. Okay, so this master of the Yoga Maya, okay, so because the Yoga Maya is the only Maya actually that exists in the absolute realm. Okay, so the master of this Yoga Maya, who is none other than Narayana, and Jiva Goswami then cites the Narayana Upanishad for it, and Narayana is the supreme Brahman and the absolute truth. So the and he cites the first full verse of Narayana Upanishad there. Okay, so with this analysis, let's move forward. So so Prabhupada then further comments about this verse. Okay, Vadanti tat tattva tattva vedas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmiti bhagavaniti shabdete. What does he say? That they are all qualitatively one. That means that in the spiritual domain, both the subject and the object are the same. Okay, so that means that but in the material world, so those who are perfect seers of the absolute truth, okay, know well that the three features of one absolute truth are different perspectives seen from the different angles of vision. We spoke about it in the previous slide. In the relative world, okay, that is in the material world, in the relative world, the knower, which is the jiva soul, is that of superior energy. Okay, so and then the other one, okay, para prakriti, so superior energy, and the other one, the known, okay, that is the matter, is that of the inferior energy. Okay, the jada is of the inferior energy. But in the absolute truth, that means in the spiritual realm, okay, spiritual absolute truth is a spiritual realm. Okay, is both the knower and the known are the same. Okay, because they are of the same superior energy. Okay, so and that means, so this explains, this is the other meaning why it is called non-dual, okay? Because both the knower and the known are the same thing. They both are spirit, okay? Now comes the understanding of this, the fact that they both are spirit, but one is the energetic. So this is one is the energetic and one is the energy. Okay, so the energetic is called as the Shaktiman, okay, which is the power of burning, okay, and the other is called as Shakti, which means that which burns. Okay, so so Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila 7.117, it says Jiva Tattva is Shakti, Krishna Tattva is Shaktiman. Gita Vishnu Puranadi Tahati Parapramana. Okay, Pramana. So where is the Pramana coming from? It is coming from the Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu Purana. All of these are Purana Adi. That means etc. Adi means etc. So all of them together, they say the Jiva Tattva is Jiva Tattva is the Shakti and Krishna Tattva is the Shaktima. Okay. The hierarchy. So the next aspect, now I'm combining Bhagavad Sandarbha, Anucheda, Bhagavata Sandarbha, Anucheda 3, 4, 7. And where again he's saying, Jiva Goswami now talks about these three, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So there is so much analysis is done on it. That's why I'm putting all together. Right now it might all look like everything's disparate, but I'll bring everything together at the end. So now that these are not the next conclusion that Jiva Goswami makes here is that these three, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, they are stated in this verse not in some random order, but they're said in the correct order. That is, the Brahman, when the attributes are totally unmanifest of that non-dual absolute truth, when the attributes are totally unmanifest, okay, that is, there are no attributes which are in the manifested state, he is known as Brahman. Okay, that means that the spirit, when it is undifferentiated unlimited, unqualified, and impersonal, okay, then it is called as the Brahman. However, when the same undifferent, same absolute truth is as the inner controller, the inspirer, and the support of the cosmos is called as Paramatma. Okay, and Bhagavan is the complete full manifestation of this non-dual realities, and indeed it is identifiable with it. Okay, in him, also in this Bhagavan, all the inherent energies, okay, the inherent energy, the supreme, are clearly visible. That means that if you see the internal energy of the Lord is fully manifest in this Bhagavan, the beauty, the power, the wisdom, the majesty, the abode, the associates, everything is fully manifest in the Bhagavan feature. And hence, and we can see that Jiva Goswami says that there is a reason why it is in this order. Brahman, Paraman, the last word is that of the Bhagavan. Okay, so summarizing the slide, so when the attributes of the absolute truth are unmanifest, then that is called as the Brahman. And when, as the inner controller and the supporter of the cosmos is called as the Paramatma, and in the Bhagavan is the complete manifestation of that non-dual reality in which all the energies are inherently and fully visible as beauty, power, wisdom, majesty, etc. So, in the material world, this is again an expansion by Jiva Goswami. This is the purport of Prabhupada, that the knower, okay, in the relative world, the knower is the living spirit, okay, which is of the superior energy. We just spoke about it. Whereas the inert matter, the jada, is the inferior energy. So there is a duality here. So the living being, so everything here is dvaya. Okay, so they're all two. The living being is in contact with the inferior energy, being illusioned, thinking that the living entity also belongs to the inferior energy. Okay, so there is a sense of relativity here. But in the absolute realm, it's called absolute because there is no relativity there. That means that the knower and the known, they are of the same superior energy, which is called the spirit. Okay, in the absolute, there is no such difference between the knower and the known. So now comes the identity of the Bhagavan. The Bhagavan, who is the Bhagavan? Okay, that is the Bhagavat Sandarbha. This is 3, Anucheda 3. There we can see that there is a citation here from Vishnu Purana. So this is what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is stating in the Chaitanya Charitamrita verse, which I just said. Jiva is Shakti and Krishna is Shaktiman. So we can see this verse here. Vishnu Paramam Padam. Okay, so this is the verse. Shruti Vakyoditam. So the Shruti says that the Vishnu Purana confirms, the Shruti says, and what does it say? That the absolute truth is Vishnu. Okay, and then Rig Veda confirms this. So I took one example Shruti Shloka, which the Vishnu Purana cites here, 1.22.20 Rig Veda. Tadvai Pashyanti Surayaha. Okay, so that means that the identity of the Lord is mentioned in this verse. If you take that verse, you will be able to see that as Vishnu. And the Shakti as the most important attribute of that Shaktiman. Okay, so here the Vishnu Purana, this is the continuation of the verse here. Vishnu Purana, there is a Abheda aspect here, that the Shakti is inseparable from the Lord. We'll understand more about why it is called the Abheda soon, which is 1.22.54. Parasya Brahmanaha Shaktis Tadedam Akhilam Jagat. Okay, so there is all these energies, they are completely identical with that of Vishnu. Okay, so that is this verse. And another verse in the Vishnu Purana, which Prabhupada frequently cites as well, Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta. Okay, Tritiya Shakti Rishyate. So this is where that word Tritiya, there are three energies. That is the marginal energy, and you have the internal energy, Bahiranga Shakti, external energy, all these things that is coming from this particular verse here. Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta, okay, Tritiya Shakti Rishyate. So, which is the Antaranga, Bahiranga, Tatashta Shakti, and this is the Bheda aspect. Okay, so, the internal energy is just for a clarification, is further divided into Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini. I'm not going to go into all that. I won't have any time for that. External energy, because we can do a whole session just on those three alone. External energy manifests as a temporal phenomenal world. Okay, and the living energy moves into either of these things. Okay. Avarnatmika Maya. Okay, so this is it covers the Jiva's knowledge of the self identity. Okay, and then attaching it to the other kinds of knowledge. Okay, so this is I've taken this whole thing from Paramatma Sandarbha, Anucheda 54 and 70. Okay. So that means that the living entity, okay, is so now comes the first first understanding of that comes from the very first verse of the Bhagavatam itself, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Verse 1, where the living entity, everything, the energy, I shouldn't say living energy is simultaneously one and different. And where Prabhupada says that the Lord is, like I put this picture here, Lord is, if you compare the Lord, the Bhagavan, to a mine of gold, and the cosmic creations in so many different forms are compared to the objects made of gold, like gold rings. So if you see, this is the gold mine as the Bhagavan, okay, and here you make so many ornaments out of it. The gold ring, the gold necklace, they're all qualitatively one with the gold mine. Okay, because if you see, it's made of the same non-dual material, which is called a spirit. Okay, so it is non-dual because everything is made of the same gold, same spirit. But here, okay, here, this is a small entity. Let's say that you just may take a small gold ring, okay? The gold ring or a small gold, let's take a gold ring, and then it's there in the soil. It can be completely covered in the soil, and you can never even know whether there was a gold ring there, okay? It can be completely covered in mud. That mud, you can compare it with the illusory energy, the external energy, which can completely cover the gold ring. But you have a gold mine, okay, which is the Lord. No kind of mud is going to be able to cover a full gold mine, okay, so which is vast in quantity. And then you can see that it is now comes the word achintya. Okay, so achintya Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 6.170, it says achintya shakti ishwar jagadrupe parinata. Okay, and then again here Avichintya Shakti Yukta Shri Bhagavan. Okay, so these are the two verses there, which says that the absolute identity alone exists. We will soon see the logic why absolute identity alone doesn't exist. Absolute identity alone does not exist between the energetic and the energy. And again, the absolute difference also does not exist between the energetic uh, and the energy. I think somebody has typed here asking me to go slower. Okay. Sorry, I was going so fast, I guess. So I have a lot of slides, so that's why I kept going faster. Okay. So so the absolute identity, that means like it is complete. We're going to soon know that, like why there is absolute identity between Shakti and Shaktiman alone does. There is 100% absolute identity, abheda, and simultaneously there is 100% bheda. And how they both exist together is achintya, okay, is inconceivable. Now, I will give the problems of strict absolute oneness. I'm not giving, Jiva Goswami is giving. I'm only putting that in a PowerPoint slide here. So, there's another message. Give me a second. Yeah, there is no hurry in the spiritual world. I'm sorry, but I have to leave at 12. So um I can do question. Yeah, 1 second. Um so so there is absolute oneness between Brahman and soul, okay, and Brahman and matter, and among the souls, that is between soul and matter, okay. So if this alone exists, okay, so then the false of the, so Jiva Goswami says here that if there was only abheda, okay, then the false of the conditioned souls and matter become false of the Brahman. Okay, so if there was only absolute identity between the energy and the energetic, whatever fault that you can attribute it to the material cosmos and the living entities, they will all become fault of the Brahman. Okay. But if faults should not be attributed to the Brahman, okay, then the world has to become illusory. Okay. So that means like anything that is of matter, if you think that there shouldn't be any fault, then the world will become illusory. Then Jiva Goswami says, then this will make many of the Shruti texts that show the difference. This is the third thing, the difference between the energetic and the energy, all of them to be false. Okay, so that means that the concept of strict absolute oneness is there are three different methods by which Jiva Goswami says that it doesn't exist. Okay, so one is that the fall to the conditioned souls and matter become fall to the Brahman, and then the fault. Okay, if it is attributed to the fault is attributed to the Brahman, then the world will become has to be called as illusory. And the third is that some of the texts that talk about Bheda, okay, will become false. Okay, so this is a problem of strict absolute oneness. But then there is also a problem with strict Bheda, okay, strict difference between the living entity and the Godhead. So if there is a full difference, okay, if they are of different nature, okay, so then there's the absolute difference between Ishvara, okay, and the soul and the matter and Ishvara, also between among different souls, among different matter, okay, then if that is the case, all those statements in the scriptures that talk about oneness, okay, sarvam kalavedam brahma, all those kind of statements will get falsified, okay. And if difference alone exists, there will be independent energies of jiva that will be beyond the purview of the energetic. Okay, so this is another problem. So in this way, there are so many problems, even with whether it is abheda or only if there is bheda. So the problem is with, like, if you take this analogy of snake and rope, okay, so the status of the snake is not real. Okay, so let me go through this analogy once. Okay, so you mistake the snake for a you mistake the rope for a snake. Okay, so the Mayavada philosophy would say that you have so the fact that this world is illusory, okay, is what we see. All these things, other than spirit, undifferentiated spirit, the fact that everything else is illusory means that this analogy that you're actually mistaking the snake for a rope. Okay, that's the analogy they use for it. Okay, however, we should note here that even though the rope is being mistaken here for a snake, it is it's definitely the snake is not there, but the rope is still there. That doesn't mean that the rope itself is not there. It's not that both the snake and the rope are not there. The rope is there. So that means the person who saw the rope, okay, should have known about. And the second thing, this is Ramanujacharya is actually saying this in his Sri Bhashya, that the person who actually saw the rope should have also seen the snake. That means they have actually seen both. That is why they even mistook it for the snake in the first place. For example, a horse is not mistaken for a snake. That means that the illusion actually happened. The illusion actually happened. That means that the illusion is real. That's what Canto 1, Chapter 1, Verse 1 of the Bhagavatam says. That the illusion, they actually, even though you might see in the desert, this is the what is given in the purport in Canto 1, Chapter 1, Verse 1. Even though there is a mirage, okay, so you may not see the water there, but the fact that there was a mirage, that is real. That means that the illusion, the fact that the illusion happened, is still real. Okay, so this is a problem with the snake rope analogy, which the Mayavadi philosophy uses to claim Abheda. Okay, now Jiva Goswami, he says in his Sarva Sambhadini on the Paramatma Sandarbha verses 70, Anucheda 77 and 78, he gives an analysis, okay, of the Jiva of analysis of this Achintya Beda Beda. Okay, and where he says that if someone recognizes, okay, Beda or Abheda, okay, it gives rise to a series of endless falls. Why does it happen? Let's see. That is, if somebody says that there is only Abheda, okay, and then he analyzes all the Bhakya, the verses and the scriptures, and then they find that there are other statements which talk about Bheda. Okay, for example, the Mundaka Upanishad verse about the two birds sitting on the tree and so on. They talk about Bheda. And therefore, then they think and then by law, even if they take Pratyaksha, Anumana, and all, by various methods, they find out that it is impossible for it to have absolute oneness. Then they decide, okay, the correct thing to do is absolute Bheda. Okay. And then let's conclude that the Vedas actually talk about absolute Bheda. And then if you keep on seeing the different vakya, sentence of the absolute, and then if you even if you use pratyaksha anumana, then you start finding faults with absolute bheda, and then you conclude, okay, there are faults with the bheda, then absolute abheda must be the true thing. And then you go, so in this way, if you do only abheda, then you think that that is wrong, and then you go to Bheda. If you do only Bheda, you think that is wrong, and then you go back to Abheda. In this way, it goes to an endless cycle of regression, and therefore the only way that this can be handled, Jiva Goswami says, is to for the understanding that it is actually achintya. The philosophy of achintya bheda bheda is a philosophy which without this endless regression problem. Okay. What does the word achintya refer to? The analysis is again given by Jiva Goswami. Achintya, he says, it is not referring to the between the God and the world, but it is actually referring to the irreconcilable difference between the oneness and the difference. Okay, that is that the energy and the energetic being 100% abheda and being 100% Bheda simultaneously. And how is it that Abheda and Simon is Bheda present? Yes. And it is absolutely 100% true. Is Abheda present? Yes. It is absolutely 100% true. And how does that means it is referring to the Bheda and Abheda between God, between the Shaktiman and the Shakti. Okay. And does it refer to material objects and their Shaktis? Yes. It refers to all this any possessor of Shakti and the Shaktiman and the Shakti. So this is what the word Achintya. This is there in the Krama Sandarbha, okay, which is his own analysis of the Bhagavatam. So now there is further analysis here. The relationship between God and Shakti cannot be adequately described as whole and part. Okay, so that means like this is the word advaya in this particular verse comes from, because it is not like the Bhagavan. One part of the Bhagavan is Paramatma, one part is Brahman. It's not like that. It's not that of a whole and a part. Okay, that means for God, part is not just part of the whole. Okay, it's because it's what is there is an undivided whole. Okay, God appears in many forms, okay, but he is one. Okay, so the God's pastimes, names, form, all of them are one. And God's different parts, even parts of his body are still one. Okay, so that means like that is why we say that he can eat through his eyes and all of this is one. So here he further explains the word Advaya of this particular thing in the Krama Sandarbha. So now the basis of this word achintya. Okay, so here Jiva Goswami gives different scriptures for this, for where the word achintya is taken. It's not random imagination. So Mandukya Upanishad, I don't know exactly which verse he's talking about. The rest I have cited it here. Kaivalya Upanishad, okay, 1.6, achintya mama vyakta. And then Subhala Upanishad, Khanda 7. Bhagavad Gita, it is there as achintya rupam, chapter 8, verse 9. In the Vedanta Sutra, in the Brahma Sutra, it talks about this, okay? Shruteshu, Shabda Mulatvat, okay? The basis in the scriptures. And again, the Brahma Sutra, it says here, Atmani Chaivam Vichitra. Instead of Achintya, they've used the word Vichitra, okay? Chaivam the word vichitra is used here. So, but this is very different from the word. I'm not going to get into this, but so the basis, the way we understand about the word achintya comes from several Shruti texts. Now, I'm going to briefly talk about the ontogeny of the super soul, okay, as the Paramatma. So, because we so far spoke mainly about the Bhagavan and Brahman, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela 2.52, it talks about the three Purushas. So, we spoke about the Purusha in the last lecture. So, and who are the three Purushas here? Karanodakashayi Vishnu, Garbhodakasai Vishnu, Kshirodakasai Vishnu, and all of them come from the Vishnu who lies on the causal ocean. Okay, so these three Purushas who lies in the Karana, Garbha, and Kshira oceans, they themselves are the super soul of the respective jurisdictions. Okay, so the respective locus in which they reside, thus they become the super soul for that particular jurisdiction. So Karano Dakasai Vishnu is a super soul of the collective universe. Okay, Garbo Dakashai Vishnu is a super soul of the collective living beings. Okay, and Kshiro Dakasai Vishnu is the super soul of the individual living. So within of all the universes, in one universe and the super soul of all the living entities. But above all of them in the fourth dimension, okay, I'm just calling it fourth dimension, but it is not really fourth. It's like beyond this dimension is Lord Krishna, who has no contact whatsoever with the material energy. Even for having any contact, he comes as even Vishnu, in that sense, doesn't have any contact with material energy. Even without any contact, okay, he is lying in the material cosmos. Okay, that is the expansion. Who does have contact? Lord Shiva has contact. Why does he have contact? We can see that because Vishnu, in a sense, he has, because he's in the material universe, but he's still aloof from the material energy. Okay, he's directly Krishna and he's aloof from the material energy. But Lord Shiva has direct contact with the material energy because his wife is the material energy. His consort is the material energy. So he is in a position which is neither there nor here because he is the bridge. His wife is directly the Mahamaya. Now, the connection between Brahman and the Super Soul, okay, Paramatma, Brahman. So far, we just spoke about the Brahman and the Bhagavan. Now, I'm going to do the connection here between the Brahman and the Paramatma, okay? This one is the famous verse which Prabhupada cites frequently, okay, in Shweta Shvatara Upanishad. Okay, Dva Suparna Sayujha Sakaya. There are two birds in one tree. One of them is eating the fruits of the tree, while the other is witnessing the action. So the witness is the Lord, and the fruit eater is the living entity. Okay, and then this is the verse which I talked about before in Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.2. There is also a verse like this in the Katha Upanishad. Okay, very similar verse, but very similar meaning about the two birds. Okay, if you see the Katha Upanishad, you can see that verse 2 there. Okay, Samane Vrikshe. Okay, so in that Vriksha, in tree Purusho Nimagno, this is the verse there. Although two birds are in the same tree, the eating bird is fully engrossed with anxiety and moroseness as they enjoy the fruits of the tree. But if in some way or the other he turns his face into his friend and the Lord knows his glories, at once the suffering bird becomes free from all anxieties. It gives a sum and substance of how one, the marginal energy, the living entity who's in the marginal energy, can transcend and move into the spiritual domain. This very nicely, this verse gives. Although two birds are in the same tree eating, the eating bird, which is the conditioned soul under the purview of the Mahamaya, is fully engrossed with anxiety, okay, in kunta, okay, and moroseness as the enjoyer of the fruits of the, because they are falsely thinking that they are under the control of the material energy. But if in some way or the other he turns his face to his friend, the Lord, and knows the glories of the Lord, so then that particular soul, living entity, comes under the control of the internal energy. At once, all the suffering, that means that they've entered into the Vaikuntha, and all the suffering, okay, Dayabha. So it's a proprietary right. That is the Bhagavatam verse, Canto 10, chapter 14, I think. So at once the suffering bird becomes free from all anxieties. So now comes the definition of the word Achintya Bheda Bheda. So, okay, so this comes from the Sarva Sambhavini. This is where the definition, we can see it clearly, where the word Achintya Bheda Bheda, for the first time it appears here as it is. Okay, but the Bhagavatam clearly, only the Vedas, the Bhagavatam, all the scriptures, they only talk about Achintya Bheda Bheda. But if you want the exact word Achintya Bheda Bheda, then you have to look at this particular verse in the Sarva Sambhavini for the Paramatma Sandarbha 78. Okay, Swamatitva Achintya Bheda Bheda Eva Chintya Shakti Mayatwaditi. So this is iti. This is the definition. The definition of the word Achintya Bheda Bheda is given in this particular thing. Achintya, as the substantive, is endowed. The substantive, that is the absolute truth, is endowed with Achintya Shaktis, with inconceivable energies. The Abheda, okay, which is you have the okay. So what is the Abheda part? The Jiva Goswami himself is actually giving a paragraph describing this analogy. Let's take a pot and let's take clay. Okay, so the pot is an effect. Okay, the clay is not an effect because the pot is made from clay. Okay, so the pot is an effect. So that means that the pot is an effect while clay is a cause. Okay, because you make from the clay, you make the pot. Okay, therefore the clay is the cause, is different from the pot. Okay, so that means the pot is the effect. Okay, so however, ultimately the pot and the clay are, even though it might be an effect, but the pot and the clay are still made of the same matter. Okay, and in this case, the living energy, even though the living energy, the energy is also spirit, the energetic is also spirit, and therefore there is abheda because they're all of spiritual in nature. But there is Bheda. Why? Before the pot, the clay alone existed. The cause alone existed. The word cause is used here, the hetu or the cause is used here for clay alone. It is never used for the pot. Because likewise, the word effect is used here for the pot. That means that there is a distinction that is being made between the cause and the effect. Okay. And therefore, the Bheda. So this is the analysis that, and um, the energy is the achintya shakti of the Shaktiman. Okay, so this is the definition and with the analogy for achintya beda beda to for this particular verse. So this verse here is so important in the Bhagavatam. That's why I'm doing a mini thesis on this verse. Fully, I'm not doing it myself. Jiva Goswami has actually done it because this verse forms the basis of the metaphysics associated with our whole philosophy. Okay, which is actually the philosophy of the Vedanta, the Bhagavatam. It's not our philosophy, it's the natural philosophy of the Bhagavatam. Any other philosophy would become an interpretation because you will have to minimize the significance of those statements or Bhakya of the that determine Beda, or those statements that talk about abheda. Either of it, you have to diminish its importance in order to substantiate your vada. Okay, the particular vada that you are professing. So this is my last slide, which would be a summary of this thing. So we can see here that Brahman, okay, is spirit, okay, and Krishna, okay, is the supreme, the source, okay, the source, and he would be called as the Param Brahman. We can know that from what Arjuna is saying, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam. Uh, Bhavan. Okay. Purusham Shashwatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. So the individual soul is of the same nature of Krishna. So the Brahman, okay, so everything is actually spirit. Okay, so that is the Brahman. And then the matter. Okay, what is the matter? Under illusion, okay, this it appears as matter here, okay, as illusion, okay, and but in reality, okay, the spiritual entities are actually in the service of the Godhead. So if one is in spiritual realization, they won't even see this down part here. But the conditioned souls who are under this illusory cloud, they are able to see all this differentiated between the knower and the known. Okay, so between the knower and the known, they're able to see all this matter. But in essence, all these things don't exist. Okay, the what actually exists is everything in spirit in relationship with Krishna. And then the individual soul, okay, which is the energy, okay, and here the abheda aspect is that both Krishna and the living and the energy, okay, they both are spirit, okay, so that is the abheda aspect. The bheda aspect is that there are distinct spiritual forms. They all have distinct spiritual forms. That is, this is the differentiated aspect of the spirit. The spirit is not just in the undifferentiated, it is not undifferentiated, unqualified, attributeless, but the spirit themselves of the living entities, they all have are differentiated, and in their spiritual forms, they in turn associated with the supreme absolute truth, who is also eternally in the differentiated form. So that is as Krishna or as his various expansions, whom we covered in the last lecture. So here the energy, okay, the Shakti of the Lord, okay, is the um, is can be as the internal energy or can be as the external energy, and the living entity is also the separated part of the Lord. Okay, it is not an integral part of the Lord, but as a separated part and parcel of the Lord. Okay, so bhinna shakti, okay, that is a very important aspect of Achintya Veda. They are separated part and parcel. okay, and the Bhagavan, okay, who is the energetic, okay, you can see him as the Shaktiman, as a transcendental source. The Paramatma is the immanent expansion, okay, he's not, the Bhagavan is the transcendental primordial source, whereas the Paramatma is in the immanent expansion of the Lord and is all expansive and is present in every atom. The Brahma Samhita confirms that. What does the Brahma Samhita say? Paramam Shayantarastam. So that means like in all the atoms, the Lord is present as the super soul. So I want to apologize for doing this fast. The only reason why I was trying to go fast is I really thought everybody, because this is in the base, this is like in the first chapter, second canto verse, and I really thought I would be because this is like a very knowledgeable Vaishnavas are there in this field, and so I just didn't realize that that it is harder to follow, and I sincerely apologize, and please, I beg for your forgiveness for going faster than I thought. And I also want to leave room for some questions. I can be here till 12:15 or so, or 12:15 to and then I have to go to a meeting. But again, I'm very sorry for. Please forgive me. I understand it was not the best judgment of the speed with which I went through the thing. But because this lecture is, in a sense, it can be divided into several few weeks actually. But I wanted to finish this whole thing and leave room for discussion. So I'll stop here. Again, I'm very sorry for if I started going fast. So Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, madam.
Go ahead, Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
For a very beautiful class. And please don't apologize, Prabhu. We totally understand. Please don't apologize. And we are able to follow as well. We were just relishing it so nice, intensely. So we thought, okay, let's relish it even with more focus. That's why we requested. Yeah. And Prabhuji, thank you so much. The class was very interesting. It's indeed a very beautiful topic. And I had a question. When Jiva Goswami refutes complete Abheda and he refutes complete Beda as well. So when he's refuting complete Beda, you mentioned that this means that some of the jivas will be beyond the purview of the energy of the Lord. I didn't understand how.
Okay, Mataji. One second. Let me go to that slide. So what that means, Mataji, is uh, if the matter, okay, is the material energy, if it is complete Bheda from Ishvara, okay, and the matter is also of complete Bheda from the soul, okay, and that means that this energy is beyond the purview of either of these things, because even if you say that the matter is like kind of a reflection of or the living entity is kind of a reflection, there is a gap, and that gap, so it goes beyond the purview. Like how would the living entity, how would it have control over some material energy, or how would the Lord have control over the material energy? So there is a so that kind of difference. So that means like there is a gap in energy. So that means that the interaction there will get affected. Is that okay, Mataji? Is that not clear?
What I understand, I'll try to repeat,
Mhm.
is that the Lord has definitely control over the living entity and over the material energy. If we talk
Correct.
about Bheda, like some
Mm,
philosophy,
mm, mm,
then sense is like completely different from the Lord. If we
mm,
say
mm,
that,
mm, mm, mm.
it also amounts to say that the Lord has no control and you're fully independent.
So that means there will be independent energies. That means like if there is if there is a difference in the locus, that means like there is what is the first logical thing that will happen there is independence, right?
Mm.
But it is so hard to substantiate
Mm.
that if the full locus is not advayam, okay, if it is not together under the same thing, that means that there are there may there is possibility of independent energies, right? That
Mm.
independent of the which is beyond the purview of jiva or bhagavan, or so that's what this means.
Mm. Okay. So there is some sections that can be beyond the control, or they can be completely independent from the Lord.
Which it is not, which it is not. Therefore he is using this to refute, and because and this is not actually Jiva Goswami is not refuting Bheda or Abheda, because we accept 100% Bheda and we accept 100% Abheda. It is the what he is refuting is 100% Bheda with 0% Abheda. That is what he is refuting.
Right, right. And the other, that was quite clear, Prabhu. I get the idea. And the other point is when we talk about Achintya, you
Mhm.
were specifically telling Achintya is not directly with respect to the relationship between Ishvara, Prakriti, and Jiva. Rather, it is the inconceivability of the Bheda. I mean, the difference and the oneness. That
Correct. 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 It is between, it is actually talking about what is inconceivable is the bheda between Shakti and Shaktiman, and the abheda. Why is it that there is 100% bheda between Shakti and Shaktiman and there is 100% abheda between Shakti and Shaktiman? That is inconceivable.
Thank you, Prabhu. That's very nice. And also, the other question, just as a generic
Uh-huh.
question,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
has so far has only Jiva Goswami and our Sampradaya spoken about the Shakti Parinam, and no one else has spoken about Shakti Parinam.
So, um, Um, the thing is, it's a hard question like that to academically to answer that, Mataji, in a sense, because the this kind of the whole understanding here of Achintya Beda Beda on what you're saying, Mataji, is the intrinsic thing in the Bhagavatam. It is there all over. And if you take the Upanishads, if you take everywhere, it is there. And the main thing what Jiva Goswami has done here is to make it clearly understandable for the audience. That is what Jiva Goswami is doing here, right? Because if we see the Bhagavatam, it is there all over. Like we can see statements of 100% Abheda, and we can see statements of 100% Bheda. We can see that in the Bhagavatam, even though Bhagavatam will have almost 90% is where the Bheda is there, but there are a lot of statements with Abheda too there. And therefore, that is what Jiva Goswami is doing here. But let's see. I mean, we can see that in the writings of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And then after that, you can see throughout, like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and then Prabhupada. There you can all see. And I distinctly don't, because Rupa Goswami, if you see here, Mataji, he was more focusing on this is not the kind of thing that Rupa Goswami focused on, because if you see his Lalita Madhava or if you see his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, they were all more on the devotional service aspect of it. And then they all focused on different aspects, the Goswamis, like the Sanatana Goswami, like if you take the Hari Bhakti Vilasa, there are some statement here I did cite on Hari Bhakti Vilasa, but it is really focusing on different aspects. So Jiva Goswami was the main person who focused on this. But if one place where it is not, everything is not stated exactly like this, I would say would be in the Govinda Bhashya. The Baladeva Vidyabhushana in Govinda Bhashya, it talks more about the Bheda there.
Like,
And
because he comes in the Madhva Sampradaya directly, and he was taking up. Yeah.
it's possible. I don't know that, but there it talks more on the Bheda aspect there. But the very first statement of the Govinda Bhashya is the prayers to Lord Chaitanya. Okay, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prayers is the very first prayer. He prays to Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna, and then only he starts the Govinda Bhashya. And he went there itself to save the worship of Radha Govinda Dev in Jaipur, right? So there I don't see that to that level,
I,
but maybe you're right, Mataji. Maybe you're right.
well, no, I'm curious if, see, our philosophy is
Mm,
based on the Brahma Sutra commentary of
mm,
Baladev
mm,
Bhushan,
mm,
then
mm.
it is not reflecting the philosophy.
So, Mataji, we should say like this, so for all, whatever the philosophy that we are trying to understand as far as the metaphysics is concerned, our acharyas, we are not going to every aspect of the Brahma Sutra. To Brahma Sutra, we have a commentary, okay, that was written for a purpose. The purpose is because the Ramanandis who were there in Jaipur, they prevented the worship of Sri Radha Govinda together, and therefore that scripture had to be written, and it has many points. It is giving theistically for in terms of worship of in terms of acceptance as Lord Govinda as the absolute truth. That's how the scripture is. But as far as when we learn the metaphysics is concerned, we go to Jiva Goswami's work. The Shatsandarbha forms the basis. And
Yeah.
Jiva Goswami cites from so many Upanishads and from the Vedanta Sutra. So that is our basis. Our basis is what the Goswamis have written. That forms the basis. But that is not to discount Baladeva Vidyabhusha, because it is really an immense work. And but it was written for a purpose. It was written for a purpose. And I am nobody to comment about it, because Prabhupada is actually dedicating the Bhagavad Gita to Acharya Baladeva Vidyabhushana, right? So.
Mm. Yeah, I understand, Prabhu. But at the end of the day, I don't even know. I'm not even read everything. But I'm just hoping and hoping that there'll be reconciliation, right? Because having adapted within the same sampradaya, so ultimately, even the commentary to the Brahma Sutra should reflect the Achintya Veda or Shakti Parinama in some way, as maybe not so much focus like you mentioned. Yeah.
I mean, this is a point, Mataji. I really don't have answer to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I had another related question.
I don't think many people will even know what you're saying, outside this kind of a group. But it requires some amount of knowledge to even say what you're saying. So thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, just one last thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Rajiv Goswami's. Yeah, so you were mentioning, right? Bhagavatam has it in various ways and all that. So
Mm.
my question actually was like, no other acharya from other sampradayas have spoken about the parinam of the Shakti as the way.
Everybody has done Mataji. They have
Oh,
just not done to this level. That's it.
okay.
Like, for example, Vishishtadvaita, it says the same thing. Even Madhvacharya in his Tattvavada say the same thing. They just don't say it exact in this clear terms. That is the only difference. Even Shankaracharya is actually saying the same thing. He is also talking about the same philosophy, but they're all saying it in partial terms. Okay, they say in a term, like, for example, the if you take the verse Mataji Narayana Upanishad, the verse Jiva Goswami actually cites this in his the verse that I said here. Like, where is the verse? Here. So if you see this verse here, if you take the very first Narayana as the supreme Brahman and the ultimate truth. Okay, so if you see this verse here, it clearly says that the Narayana is the soul of the universe, and the universe forms the body of the Lord and everything. So it is classically the Vishishtadvaita's thing is actually there in this Narayana Upanishad. But that is the reason, and Chaitanya Charitamrita confirms it by saying that the soul of the universe is of all the material existence is Karanodakasai Vishnu, and that of the and that of and the three different super souls. Chaitanya Charitamrita actually confirms that. And so that means that all these philosophies, they are all saying the same thing, but they focus on different aspects based on that particular time and circumstance. They're focusing on different aspects. That is why there is not one thing which is wrong in Vishishtadvaita or in Tattvavada or in any matter of philosophy, but the Achintya Bheda Bheda is the most comprehensive of all. Like even the theology, we can see that the Gaudiya Vaishnava theology is the most exhaustive in terms of understanding of the features of the Godhead. And because there has been so much analysis, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami focused on the theology, Jiva Goswami focused on the metaphysics. And it's the most exhaustive and they have cited from Ramanujacharya, they have cited from Sridhara Swami, from Madhvacharya, and so on, and it is the most exhaustive of the Lord. If you can see the description of Krishna, you cannot find any more description than what has been given by the Goswamis of Vrindavan. Therefore, I would say that actually all this what you're saying, Mataji, is like Shakti Parinamavada, all these things, it is there in all the philosophies. They just say it in different ways for
And
that particular time and circumstance.
and your focus will be slightly.
Correct. Their focus is different. Correct. That is because it is the same non-dual substance. They're focusing on different aspects of it. But when you put everything together, that is this philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bheda.
Yeah.
Because Shankaracharya, he focused only on Brahman. And then Madhvacharya focused on the Paramatma. And then Ramanujacharya focused on bridging these two. Okay. And then, but taking Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan all together as per this verse of 1.2.11, the most elaborate description has been given in Achintya Bheda. You can see that everywhere. Achintya Bheda Bheda is there everywhere. It is there in the Vedanta Sutra. Every statement will talk about Achintya is actually talking about Achintya Bheda Bheda. There is no new philosophy here. But Jiva Goswami was so kind to actually put all these things into clear words that has made it. It is not an exotic philosophy. It is not a new philosophy. It is the only philosophy that has ever existed.
Very nice.
Like Bhagavad Gita says that, like, for example, if you take the seventh canto, seventh chapter verse, okay, if you take the pearls on the necklace, Sutra Gana, so if you the pearls, that verse is talking about Vishishtadvaita. But then if you take everything together, you can clearly say that it is Achintya Bheda Bheda is the only way you can explain all the statements of the Vedanta. Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra, whatever you take, the Bhagavatam, the only way you can explain is the Achintya Bheda Bheda.
Wonderful. Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Mataji.
The answer.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Any other points, Mataji? Anything I said wrong?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble
Hare Krishna.
obeisances. Jayananda Gauranga
Yes.
Prabhuji. Thank you for a very beautiful class and for explaining in such detail. I really like your slides. And as Priti Lasni Mataji said, it was a very interesting and very relishing class. You explained about the Chinta Beda Beda means by Sri Jiva Goswami. You gave a nice example of the clay pot. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very grateful to you. Do you have time for more questions and
Yes,
answers, Prabhu?
Mataji. Yes, Mataji. I'll be there. I again apologize. I know some senior devotees said about the space at which I went. I just wanted to leave some time for questions. I sincerely apologize if I have
No, that's
hurt
okay, Prabhuji.
anybody's
Please don't
feelings. I
apologize.
sincerely
It was a
apologize.
very
Thank you.
beautiful class. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. If you have any questions or realizations, please go ahead.
Dandvat
Hare
Pranam
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. And very nice to hear your voice.
May I go ahead, Mata?
Go ahead, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. Jayanand Prabhu, Dandvat Pranam, and all Vaishnavas, Mataji, everyone. Prabhuji, the term itself, achintya, means inconceivable, right? That's what it is. So, at what stage a conditioned soul like me would be able to conceive this philosophy? This is this has always puzzled me. Bhagavan Krishna says, "Mama ivamso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanat." Barabar? He says things like that. Mama ivamso jiva. Okay, so where he is my eternal spiritual part. So why, if I'm eternally his part and parcel, did I start somewhere or I did not? I asked this question long back, many years back, to Radha Govind Swami, and he says that because we are conditioned we cannot conceive, kabhi to saru hua hoga. This is what he told me in Hindi like that. So, at what stage would I be able to actually comprehend this? That is my, I've been long time left, since 84 I was initiated, but it's puzzling like that. And all your erudite scholarship and, this postdoctoral kind of discourse, still it doesn't.
I don't know if it is of any value, true value, but so Prabhuji, you're such a senior Vaishnava. I am nobody to even
No,
answer
Prabhuji.
these questions. I'll
I'm very
I'll
infantile.
I'll do a little bit, but just because you asked a question, I will try to answer a little bit, Prabhu. But I don't think I'm going to say anything that you don't know, Prabhu. So first, if you could bless me, Prabhu, for any. So that I am able to also, follow this path of Krishna conscious nicely, because without blessing your blessings, I don't think there is any future for me as well. So, with that, there's one thing, the word, as Preeti Vilasi Mataji, I think, said, the word achintya, the inconceivable. What is inconceivable, Jiva Goswami is saying here is to know that the Bheda and Abheda actually exist simultaneously. So that is actually achintya. It is not about knowing about the Lord, or not. You cannot apply that achintya for other things and all. It is only for the two words Bheda and Abheda, that how they both exist together, that is achintya. That's it. So it is not like the God is achintya or inconceivable. It's not like God and all is conceivable. Is Krishna is conceivable. That is why he's being described in the Bhagavatam. And therefore, so the relationship between Krishna and his Shakti, that is the fact that it is both Beda and Abeda simultaneously, that is inconceivable. And that doesn't mean that even when if we are not a conditioned soul, if we are a fully liberated soul, even in that circumstance, it is still Abheda, it is still Achintya only. Between the connection between the Lord and his energy, how it is Beda and Abeda at the same time, it is because it is always Beda and Abeda simultaneously. So it is eternally inconceivable. So it is not like in the conditioned state we are seeing the Beda and Abheda simultaneously as inconceivable, and then once we are in the liberated state, we won't see that. We will see either Beda or Abheda or something like that. It is always Beda and Abheda simultaneously, 100% eternally. So it doesn't have anything to do with the soul being conditioned or not.
Okay. Okay, that makes
Okay,
little
Mataji.
sense there. Yeah, okay. All right.
Thank you,
So,
Prabhu.
thank you very much, Prabhuji. And I'll have to go through the whole lecture again with slow speed so that I can
I'm sorry again, Prabhu. I'm
No,
sorry.
that's okay.
I'm sorry. The thing is, I saw that message in this and I became so afraid. Oh boy, I don't know what I'm going to do here. And then I thought, okay, these are all big Vaishnavas usually come to this 11 o'clock session. And therefore I thought, okay, they might already know all these things anyway. So I just kept on moving fast. So, and then leaving time for questions. But if I can have your blessings, it will help me, Prabhu. So please. Thank you.
Probably I'm nobody to bless you, but the thing is that when you are giving this discourse, I should be able to follow some sequence that, okay, what he said like that is now following. Many a time it just went to, I had to kind of, anyway, this was nice, and Prabhuji, I am so thankful you responded.
And part of that, Prabhu, is last week, the lecture was on Krishna.
Right.
It was very interesting and easy to go one by one.
Okay.
Whatever matter, this is a drier subject. And it was hard for me also to keep that thing as because there were so many dry concepts in this that the nature of the subject made me go in that way. But I will take your feedback, Prabhu. Next time I will be I'll take this more cautiously. I can actually split this into 2 lectures. Then I would have gone much slower.
That could have been better, Prabhuji. Right. Anyway, thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhalanda Prabhuji, for a nice question and answer. Hare Krishna to devotees. Is there anybody else who would like to have any questions or share the realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Prabhuji, for such a
Hare Krishna.
beautiful class. Perfect class, Prabhuji. I
Okay,
mean, when
Mataji,
I
thank
saw
you.
the title itself, this is, I was telling to my Prabhuji, Jayanand Gauranga Prabhuji is doing thesis in spiritual nicely. I wanted you also want read one verse like that. I was saying, okay, I will think about it. He was saying to me, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a
Thank you. Thank you.
beautiful class. And
Thank you,
the way
Mataji.
you go into depth of this subject is so nice, Prabhuji. But for my knowledge, it is very high. But I will hear again and try to understand this, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Very
Thank you,
grateful to you,
Mataji.
Prabhuji.
Thank
Slides
you.
are
Thank you.
beautiful, Prabhuji. The pictures that you put, gold mine and gold, how you are describing everything and the burning, and everything was so nice, Prabhuji. At least if I'm not able to understand everything, seeing that picture a little bit, at least I got it, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Very grateful
Thank
to
you,
you.
Mataji. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna dear devotees, if there are no more questions or realizations, I would like to thank His Grace Jayananda Gauranga Prabhuji. Thank you for your valuable time and association this morning, Prabhu. Thank you for a very, very beautiful class and very beautiful slides. Amrita Radhika Mataji is thanking you in the chat. Mataji is saying, thank you, dear Prabhuji, excellent class. Thank you for the detailed information. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Looking
you,
forward to
Mataji.
your wonderful association in the near future. In the near future, Prabhuji, I would like to pay my obeisances to His Grace, Jayananda Prabhuji, Jayananda Gauranga Prabhuji, and all the assembled devotees. Vancha kalpata rubhya chakapa sindhu evacha patita nam pavnebhyo vaishnavyo namo namah. Samasta Vaishnavind ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Grace
Jai.
Jayananda Gauranga Prabhuji ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Thank you.
Dandavat
Thank
Pranam.
you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Such a
Krishna.
beautiful
Thank you.
class,
Thank you.
but
Thank you, Mataji.
too deep. So I have to listen again, Prabhuji. I came late too.
Next
Sorry,
time
Prabhuji.
I'll make a more interesting subject, Mataji. I mean, I know what you're saying, but I hope there'll be some other series. I'll create some. Last year we did a temple series. Hopefully I will do some other series like that if there is an opportunity in this program, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. It was very
Thank you,
nice.
Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
For your time, very, very precious association ending the